I found out my husband of 40 years, Larry, drained our $300,000 retirement fund to pay for his mistress's plastic surgery when I logged into our bank account to plan a dream trip to Italy, only to see a zero balance and a receipt for Dr. Kaplan Cosmetic, patient Vanessa. At 63, I'd spent 4 decades with him, raising 2 kids, surviving his job flops, baking his biscuits, only to sit there, screen glowing, realizing he'd traded our golden years for her new nose and fake boobs, while I clutched a travel brochure he'd promised we'd use someday. He wasn't even home, just a text. At the shop, late night, like I'd still buy his lies. How did he sink this low? Let's roll it back. It's a bitter, twisted tale, and every dollar stings. It all kicked off in 1984, when I was 23, a jittery bride in a thrift store gown, marrying Larry under a pecan tree at his cousin's orchard. He was 25, a mechanic with grease-stained hands and a grin that could melt ice, swearing he'd give me a life worth dreaming about. We started small. Our first place was a trailer with a sagging roof and a hot plate that sparked every time I cooked. Our kids came quick. Amy in 86, Ben in 89. We hustled. Larry fixing cars, me clerking at the hardware store, saving every penny for a ranch house we bought in 92. It had cracked drywall and a yard full of weeds, but it was ours. I thought we were ironclad. 40 years of spilled juice, band recitals, and late-night fights over cash, all bound by a love I'd have staked my soul on. The first whiff of trouble slipped in about 3 years ago, soft as a shadow. Larry, always a chatterbox, big tales about the shop, the guys, the wrecks, started fading. He'd shuffle in from work, toolbox clanging, and slump into his chair, staring at the wall like it held secrets. "Tough day?" I'd ask, rolling dough for his biscuits. Flaky, just how he liked them. "Yeah," he'd grunt, eyes elsewhere. I blamed age. 63's no picnic, with his bad knees and my creaky hips. But then the late nights started. "Customer pickup," he'd say, grabbing his keys out the door before I could blink. He'd roll back at 11, midnight, sometimes later, smelling of aftershave, not grease, not sweat, and I'd catch him texting in the dark, thumbs fumbling, a smirk I hadn't seen since our 20s. "Shop stuff," he'd mutter when I'd peek, but his voice shook, just a hair, enough to notice. Then the bank trips piled up. He'd leave midday, claiming errands, but come back empty-handed, no receipts, no explanation. I'd see withdrawals on our statements, $200 here, $500 there, labeled miscellaneous. I asked him at breakfast, waving the paper. "What's this, Larry?" He choked on his coffee, ears red. "Parts, tools, shop's tight." But his hands twitched, his tell since 84. "For us?" I pressed. He glared. "Don't interrogate me, Judy. I'm handling it." Lies. I felt it, but I swallowed them, clutching that retirement fund like a safety net. Last summer, it got uglier. Amy came for 4th of July, her twins tearing through the yard, and Larry barely glanced up. Texting, 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 a grin I hadn't sparked in years. "Dad, you with us?" She teased, flipping burgers. He waved her off. "Busy week?" he mumbled, and I saw her frown, matching mine. Ben called a week later, voice sharp. "Mom, saw Dad's truck at a bar off 71? Tuesday night. Thought he was working?" My stomach flipped, but I brushed it off. "Probably a beer with the guys, hun." Bull. I didn't know, and I was scared to dig. But the doubt grew teeth. The real blow landed in November. I was balancing our checkbook, Larry's job, but he'd forgotten again, when I noticed a $10,000 dip in our savings. I dug deeper, heart pounding, and found transfers. $5,000, $8,000, $12,000. Over months, all to VK Consulting. My hands shook. I waited till he got home, statement in fist, and pounced. "What's VK Consulting, Larry? Where's our money?" He froze, jaw tight, then scoffed. "Investment, shop expansion. You're overreacting, Judy." But his eyes darted, his tell since day one. 40 years and you're hiding $35,000? I snapped. He threw up his hands. "I'm tired, okay? Tired of you always digging." He stormed to the garage, and I stood there, papers trembling, tears rising. The months after were a slow bleed. Larry pulled away, barely ate my biscuits, slept in the den, left early, stayed late. I'd catch him grinning at his phone, a spark I hadn't lit in decades, and my gut churned. Amy begged me to check his calls, Ben hinting he was off. I tried fixing it, made his pot pie, suggested a weekend at the lake, but he'd shrug. "Busy, Jude," he'd say, like I was a pest. Our 40th anniversary was coming, June 10th, and I clung to it like a rope. Maybe a milestone would pull him back. Us, the old Italy dream. I planned it. Italy, brochures spread out, pasta dinner ready, a toast to 40 years. June 9th dawned warm, and I woke to his text. At the shop, late night. My heart sank, but I pushed on, logged into our bank to book the trip. That's when I saw it. $300,000, our retirement fund, gone. Balance, $0. A receipt flashed, $285,000 to Dr. Kaplan Cosmetic, patient Vanessa, procedure, rhinoplasty, breast augmentation. The room spun. I clicked again. Transfers over 6 months, all him. My hands shook as I gripped that brochure, 40 years crashing. He'd taken our future, our Italy, our ease, for her face, her body. Amy showed up an hour later. She'd planned a surprise visit and found me sobbing over the screen. "Mom, what's wrong?" she gasped. "He stole it, Amy." I choked. "Our retirement, for her surgery." She hugged me, cursing him, and called Ben. "Dad's a thief," he growled. "We'll fix this, Mom." But I was hollow. 40 years, 2 kids, and I was the fool planning a trip while he funded Vanessa's makeover. Larry rolled in that night, reeking of aftershave, and I hit him. $300,000, Larry? For her plastic surgery? His face drained, then hardened. "You're nuts!" he snapped. "Nuts? I've got the receipt. Vanessa doctor. Kaplan." He exploded. "I'm done, Judy. Done with this. With you. Vanessa gets me. She's not some worn-out nag." He grabbed his keys, stormed out, tires screeching. Amy held me, tears in her eyes, and the kids rallied. Ben vowing to track this Vanessa. Amy swearing off Larry. I was broken, shattered, but the pieces shifted. Then came the twist that turned it all. A week later, our CPA, Ron, called. "Judy, Larry took the $300,000, but here's the thing. Your joint IRA. He drained it, but it's tied to a $500,000 life policy he forgot about. You're the beneficiary, sole owner." I laughed, wild, ragged. "You're sure?" "Dead sure," Ron said. "He's clueless. Thought he'd won." I hung up, fire roaring. He'd robbed me for her, but I held his endgame. I called the kids, voice steel. "He wants Vanessa? Fine, but I'm cashing out." I lawyered up. Best divorce shark, Ellen, who lived for blood. Turns out Larry'd been siphoning for years. IRA, savings, $400,000 total, funneled to Vanessa's new look. Ellen froze his accounts, filed for divorce, and locked the policy in my name. Larry showed up days later, pounding the door. Judy, you can't take my money. I stepped out, cool as ice. Our money, Larry, including the $500,000 policy you forgot. Tell Vanessa her new face won't pay the bills. His jaw dropped. You're bluffing. Try me, I said, slamming the door. Word got around. Vanessa was a hairdresser, 45, all Botox and ambition, chasing his wallet. I sold the ranch house, every lie of his hauled off, and bought a villa in Sedona, cash from my half. Took the kids to Italy with the rest. Rome, pasta, healing. Larry? Stuck with a lease he can't afford? Vanessa gone when the cash dried up, crashing at a buddy's last I heard. It hurt. 40 years don't vanish easy. But I wasn't Judy, the fool. I was Judy, 63 and fierce, sipping wine in the desert, starting over. He thought he'd trade my future for her face, but I took mine back, prettier than ever. So here I am, months later, watching the sunset from my villa, wondering what's next. Larry's out there, maybe broke, maybe scheming. Vanessa a ghost. The kids are solid. Amy's teaching, Ben thriving, and I'm proud. But some nights, I wonder, did I win or just outlast him? Could he show up begging forgiveness? And if he did, would I let him in or laugh him off? I don't know yet, and maybe that's okay. What do you think? Should a woman like me ever soften? Or is this where I keep shining? No regrets. Tell me your take.